I need to let you know this. This is Powerhouse Believers Network. It's a very big opportunity to come your way. Today I want to tell you how it will always be better for those who trust in the Lord. Most times, night praying is very important, but then we struggle on how to continue to pray, at night. Most times when we hear messages that are very, 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 edifying, and then we want to pray. We just want to pray in the night, and then you try it out for maybe 1, 2, or 3 days, and you discover that you're already tired and you don't know what to do. And then most times you just give up. But like here, I would like to show you how you can go on, holding so strong to pray even at night, because it is very important for you to know how to go about this. Usually, if you really want to engage the night, you will need to prepare for it. You will need to prepare that at night I'm going to pray. Now, when you set up your mind like that at night you're going to pray, it helps your spirit. Because as you are going to bed, there's a consciousness that is left with you that you're going to be up at night to pray. Because what you do not prepare for, it will be difficult for you to really master what you do accidentally. But what you do deliberately, you can master. So you have this consciousness of prepare your mind that at night I'm going to be up to pray. That's the very first thing. And the second thing is that you must be light enough. Physically, the Bible will always say that, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Why is this so? Because we know that within the framework of the nature of creation, the body tends to be weak as spiritual things. Now, all you need to do is that for you not to be exhausted, you will need to take some rest before the hour. If you want to be up by 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., it means that you should be able to have at least 4 hours of sleep or rest before 1 a.m. If you want to do your own from 2 o'clock, then you have to 2 a.m. in the night, then you have to be up at least 4 to 5 hours before that very time. And then when you're up at that time, you will be light enough to begin to pray. Now, you will need to eat something very light at night before you go to bed. Because if you do that, it gives you the capacity to be light enough to be able to pray. Now, if you eat, heavy meals, and then late at night, you will discover that you'll be too tired. You'll be too tired because the body at that time, may be concentrating on digestion. And so the whole blood will be, the attention will be shifted to the whole system and not the brain at this time. So, but what happens is that if you are, light enough, take something light, then go to bed early, 4 to 5 hours before the time that you wake up, and then you begin to pray, you discover that your body can assist you to really pray. You want to navigate in the spirit. It will take you some, physical maneuvering to be able to master, praying at night. So these two things are very important. And then usually you come with worship. I will go before the Lord. Early will I rise, to seek the face of the Lord. These are some of the measures, techniques that the psalmist used, and it was great. David had this skill of rising very early. And if you look at the life of Yeshua, he would always be up early, very early. He would go to a very lonely place right in the mountain or so, and then we'll begin to seek the face of God. It's the same thing with us also. We must have this attitude of waking that early or staying up in the night to pray. It could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours. But one thing that is good is that if you can have consistency. If you are doing 1 hour consistently, or you're doing 2 hours consistently, or 3 hours consistently, it will be fine. But then whatever amount of time that you have chosen, if you can stick to it, that'll be excellent. Because at that time, by the time you begin to do it, God will also be expecting that meeting with you at that hour. And what a beauty if you can maintain it. You start with worship, and then as you worship Him, then of course the portals of the Spirit open to you, and then you begin to pray. Most times for those who are matured, or the more you get into a deep relationship with God, you may not be coming with a prayer point. Because as you worship, you see that the womb of the Spirit opens to you, and then what to pray about becomes very, very clear to your spirit. And then you can know exactly what you are or what you should pray about. And that's what is actually true fellowship. Most times we write prayer points and then we meet with the Lord and we begin to read out those prayer points. But then, by the time you begin to get into deeper fellowship with God, you realize that when you come in as you're worshiping, prayer, needs begin to rise up in your spirit. The Holy Spirit will begin to guide you, will begin to show you the things that you should begin to pray about, and then you begin to pray about those. Then you also, of course, is praying time. So you also spend time where you remain in the quiet mode where you get to hear, the Lord speak to you. So night praying is very important, and it's something that we all need to develop that habit. You are going to face the trouble of, the flesh not letting you to pray at night. You're going to face the trouble of activities. If you're married and maybe with children, you're also going to be content. They are going to also be another, force that you need to contend with, because your child can make you to stay, to go to bed late. And as such, you may not be able to fluently, wait on the Lord at night. And not just that, there are territorial powers that stop people from praying at night. In many occasions, if you go to some places, you discover that you will not hear the voice of anyone praying at night. Most times it's because territorially the power that is holding that environment bound would not let anyone pray. So people are always discouraged praying, or most times they complain they are very weak, and that's why they are not praying. But not knowing that it's actually a force held them, down from praying. And so you must also learn the act of dealing with those territorial powers, binding them. By the time you bind them, you stop them from carrying out their works, and then you discover that people are liberated, and then they begin to pray. I remember I traveled to a particular city, several years ago, and at that particular place, I woke up at night to pray, and I was wrestling with a principality. And it was clear to me that was the force that was holding the environment bound. But I had to press in. It was a fight, until I overcame. And from then, praying in the spirit, praying, at night became easy for me to do. In another location again, I went to another location, and I realized that I had a dream where everybody was just, sleeping. Everybody was just sleeping. Nobody was making any moves at all. And the Spirit of the Lord told me that that's one of the things that have been used to hold the people bound at night. So at night they go to bed, but no one can wake up to pray. Or they are lazy at it, or they just don't feel like praying at night. And that's an issue. But for you have gotten the skill. One, prepare your mind to be up at night. The second thing is that go to bed early, 4 to 5 hours before the hour you want to be up. Then you can also take something that is light, and then that can help you, to pray. And most times you begin to worship. And if you don't start the worship, you can just put up the music, you can just put up the worship, and play and sing along, and then worship from that. Something can steer you into that presence. You can put up the music to play. And then another time also, a message can also steer you to begin to pray. Listening to a message can also stir you to begin to pray. And so if you begin to put this in order, begin to implement them, you begin to see how much you are going to be growing in the Lord. Because if you can engage the night, it means you can actually have a control over your day, over your business, over your family, over your everything that you have to mingle up with in the day. You must have to make sure you do, or have them put under control. They do not work against you. Before the sun comes out, there are a lot of things that are attached to the sun. As the sun is rising, it could bring affliction. But if you have woken up in the night and addressed those things, you have commanded your day. And that's one sweet thing that every child of God should do. Make sure you pray at night. The Lord bless you, and the Lord keep you strong. If you are just coming to our channel for the very first time, you can click on the subscription button, and of course the notification bell. And then every time we bring up stuff like this, you will be notified. And click on the like button if this video has blessed you. The Lord keep you.